On the morning of December 24, 2002, in Modesto, California, 27-year-old Laci Peterson, 8 months pregnant with a baby boy she and her husband had planned to name Connor, vanished without a trace. Her husband, Scott Peterson, claimed he had gone fishing at the Berkeley Marina, a 2-hour drive away, while Laci stayed behind to walk their dog and prepare for Christmas Eve dinner with her family. When he returned that afternoon and found the house empty, he said he wasn't concerned until Laci's stepfather called the police. A missing persons report was filed, and what began as a routine investigation quickly unraveled into one of the most infamous and detailed murder cases in American history. With her vibrant smile and due date approaching, Laci's disappearance captured the country's attention almost instantly. Posters were printed, candlelight vigils were held, and the search grew massive. As the nation watched, Scott appeared alongside Laci's family during press conferences, maintaining a calm and cooperative front. But behind the scenes, the story was far more disturbing. Investigators quickly turned their attention towards Scott. His alibi, going fishing alone on Christmas Eve, raised eyebrows. More so, he seemed emotionally detached. As police began quietly investigating his movements, they stumbled upon a crucial lead, a woman named Amber Frey. On January 6, 2003, Frey, a 28-year-old massage therapist from Fresno, contacted Modesto police after seeing Scott on the news. She revealed she had been dating him for several weeks, believing he was single, and had no idea he was married, let alone that his pregnant wife was missing. What Amber said next stunned investigators. Just days after Laci's disappearance, Scott told her this was his first Christmas without his wife, implying Laci was already dead. Alarmed and heartbroken, Amber agreed to secretly record her conversations with Scott at the direction of law enforcement. Over the next month, Amber recorded 29 phone calls with Scott, who, astonishingly, continued the charade. On New Year's Eve, just 1 week after Laci disappeared, Scott called Amber with crowd noise and bagpipes in the background, claiming he was in Paris watching fireworks near the Eiffel Tower. In reality, he was at a candlelight vigil in Modesto, held in Laci's honor. "It's been the worst holiday of my life," he told her during that call. "I lost my wife." Laci was still classified as missing, not deceased. The lie was calculated and chilling. In other calls, Scott continued to discuss their future together, vacation plans, and even spending time with Amber's daughter. He never once mentioned the investigation, asked about Laci, or displayed any panic or emotion typically seen in grieving spouses. His tone was smooth, rehearsed, and unnervingly calm. Meanwhile, police uncovered that Scott had recently purchased a small fishing boat without telling anyone, and had conducted internet searches on water currents in the San Francisco Bay. As the investigation intensified, his behavior became more erratic. He sold Laci's car, considered selling their home, and traded in her life insurance policy. On April 13 and 14, 2003, the decomposing remains of a woman and a male fetus washed ashore in the bay, just miles from where Scott claimed to have been fishing. DNA confirmed they were Laci and Connor. The fetus was mostly intact, suggesting he may have been protected in the womb for some time, while Laci's body was missing limbs and had deteriorated significantly. On April 18th, Scott was arrested in San Diego. He was carrying camping gear, $15,000 in cash, multiple cell phones, his brother's ID, and had dyed his hair blonde. Authorities believed he was preparing to flee, possibly to Mexico. The trial began in June 2004 and was moved to Redwood City due to massive media coverage in Modesto. Prosecutors built a circumstantial but compelling case. They alleged Scott murdered Laci in their home, then disposed of her body in the bay using his boat. The motive: Scott wanted out of his marriage and fatherhood responsibilities to freely pursue his relationship with Amber Frey. The recorded phone calls played in court became some of the most damning evidence. Jurors heard Scott lie repeatedly, pretend to be in Europe, and calmly reassure Amber while his wife's body was missing. Amber testified with clarity and sorrow, recounting how she felt manipulated and betrayed. Although there was no direct forensic evidence, no blood, no murder weapon, the circumstantial evidence painted a devastating portrait. The combination of Scott's deceit, his inappropriate behavior, the damning phone calls, and the proximity of the bodies to his alibi location was enough to convince the jury. On November 12, 2004, Scott Peterson was found guilty of first-degree murder for killing Laci and second-degree murder for killing Connor. He was sentenced to death the following month and sent to San Quentin State Prison. For years, he remained on death row, filing appeals and maintaining his innocence. In 2020, California's Supreme Court overturned his death sentence, citing flaws in jury selection. In 2021, he was resentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Still, his legal team continues to fight for a new trial. The Scott Peterson case, with its tragic loss, media circus, and haunting phone calls, remains one of the most thoroughly dissected and enduring murder cases of the 21st century, a story of betrayal, calculated deception, and the horrifying duality of a man who lived two lives while a nation hoped in vain that Laci and her unborn child would be found alive.